Olá, eu sou Gustavo Carril, do site Exame, e este é o programa Portfólio, o pulso do mercado. O Brasil tem sido o mercado preferido dos investidores estrangeiros na América Latina, e essa também é a visão da Aberdeen, maior gestora de recursos da Escócia. Nesta semana, conversamos com Nick Robinson, ele que é o gestor para os mercados emergentes da empresa. Nick fala sobre as ações da Petrobras, a decisão de vir para o Brasil e também sobre a impressionante valorização dos imóveis na região da Avenida Faria Lima, onde a empresa tem seu escritório. Confira a entrevista a seguir. So Nick, why Aberdeen has decided to come to Brazil?
The reason why we want an office in Brazil is that we've already got quite a lot of money invested in Brazil, about $3 billion US dollars in total.
3 billion only in Brazil?
Just in Brazil, yes, for our emerging market products and also for our Latin America products. And part of our investment process is very disciplined in that we have to see all the companies that we invest in at least twice a year. So actually being on the ground in Brazil makes that a much easier task.
So it helps to, in your job, to speak with managers of...
Yeah, I mean that's one of the fundamental parts of our investment process, is to actually be on the ground, seeing the companies that we invest in. And previously, when I was based in London, that meant getting on a plane and coming over here, and you know that's an awful lot of effort. So it's much easier being here. And I guess another reason we wanted to be in Brazil was Brazil's a very big market. It's an exciting market that's growing. So longer term, you know, we'd quite like to offer funds here to local investors. And create products here as well, perhaps to sell to external investors as well.
Since you arrived here, was it difficult to find Brazilian professionals, analysts to work with you?
No, it wasn't particularly difficult. We did a process where we spoke to a lot of people and asked for CVs of people, and I interviewed about 10 people. And of those 10 people I interviewed, I have to say that pretty much all of them were of a very high quality. So I was quite surprised by that, and I think the reason is that you have good universities, and in Sao Paulo there's a lot of educated young people who are actually good enough to do this job.
Now let's talk about markets.
Sure.
Which sectors in Bovespa you are more optimistic with?
Okay, there's a couple of sectors in particular. The first sector that we're quite optimistic on is the consumer sector. You know, we're real believers in Brazil of the power of the emerging middle-class consumer, and that's certainly a trend that you've seen over the last few years, and it's a trend that we expect to continue for at least the next 10 years. So with that in mind, one of the sectors that we're very overweight is the consumer sector. So that would be companies like Lojas Renner and also Saraiva, the bookstore. Those are companies we have quite a large position in.
When you say consumer sector, food companies are inside this sector, no?
Yeah, food companies are inside the sector, but with food companies it's a little bit more difficult because whilst we do own some food companies, you know, they tend to be more commoditized businesses. So we prefer businesses that are less commoditized, you know, that have strong barriers to entry, which can be the case in some food businesses, particularly food businesses that sell you know, packaged products rather than food businesses that sell, you know, plain meat. So that's one sector we like, and then the other sector that's an important sector within the funds is the financial sector. And again, we invest in this sector because, you know, it's another way of playing emerging market consumer demand, and you know, particularly the consumer demand within Brazil. As more consumers enter the middle class, they'll take out bank accounts, they'll take out loans, they might take mortgages out, and that will fuel loan growth within the sector, and the financial sector should benefit from that.
Well, Aberdeen has also a large position on Petrobras. What's your view on the capitalization process?
Yeah, I guess we're quite pleased now that the process is a bit clearer, as for a long time it was quite a confusing process, and certainly not one that we were very clear on. But now there's a clear timeline of things that are going to be done. You know, that's good, so we can actually start planning. You know, we think that the reserves from the government are likely to be transferred at a fair price to Petrobras. So we think the transaction is likely to be beneficial for Petrobras. You know, I guess we're slightly concerned about the size of the offering, in that, you know, does the market have capacity for this kind of offering? But having the government there as a backstop is something that gives us a bit of comfort. And certainly, you know, we think the shares have been unduly hit in the last 6 months or so, and actually now they represent pretty decent value. So for most of our portfolios, we've been adding to that position on
Are
the
you buying Petrobras shares now?
We not right now, but we in the last couple of days, we've been buying some Petrobras.
Do you prefer the ordinary shares or the?
We generally buy the prefs for Petrobras on the basis that the liquidity is a bit better.
From now on, which are the next steps for Aberdeen in Brazil?
So for me, it's really continued down the same path. We're going to look for another analyst towards the end of the year. So that's going to be a process that's quite important. And then we're going to look to get registered with the CBM so that we can start more of a distribution effort here. And that's a process that I expect will take some time, perhaps. And then once we're registered with the CBM, we might look to hire people on the distribution, on the sales side of things. So that'll mean moving into a bigger office. So it's all these things.
Now you are based in Faria Lima.
That's right, yeah. And I hope that we can stay in Faria Lima, and I hope that we can find a suitable, larger office there. But I understand, prices are getting a bunch more expensive this year. I mean, our office space, the list price has now gone up 60% from where it was when we moved in about a year ago, which gives you some idea of, how hot the market is here in Brazil at the moment.
Oh, Nick, thanks a lot for your time.